listening to Pop This, the podcast where three women talk about pop culture. Here are your hosts, Lisa Christiansen, Andrea Gin, and Andrea Warner.
Okay, so I am curious about how long you give yourself time to get ready for things. Like, I had come home from work, and I know we meet for this podcast at 7, and I was laying on the couch and just doing my doom scrolling, and I looked at the clock and I thought, I can do this in 5 minutes. Right?
Doom scroll or get ready?
Get ready to be here. And I made it. But I don't know how, like...
But what does getting ready for the podcast entail for you?
I mean, this outfit is spectacular, so thank you for taking that 5 minutes.
Yeah, how long does it take you to find the hoodie?
I cannot believe you got ready in 5 minutes.
Well, what does it entail? Well, okay, it entails me getting up off the couch. And I just want to tell you that I had just found the perfect position. I had both the dogs. They were in perfect positions on my legs, just so. The window was open just so. I hadn't quite, like, the temperature was right, you know? And so then I pushed it. Then it was like, now it's 6:56. Can I still... I'm so comfortable. And then it's 7:57. I'm like, no, I must. And then I ran, and I did everything in 3 minutes.
You ran across your house?
I ran from the couch right there to here.
You got up to speed running.
Lisa, every time I do the show, I'm like, Lisa and I are apparently the same person. I just, like, that is absolutely me. I was like, 6:57, plenty of time. Yeah.
Right?
I also don't like to run long distances.
No, it was, it's a bit of a sprint, I guess you would say, what I did. But yeah, just a little. How many, what are we talking, four steps, I think I took. But
we can't see it, so you could really exaggerate and impress us if you want.
Now
you're going to show us. Forget it. It's blown now.
There's
it's
the couch.
Like 3 or 4 steps.
Yeah, 3 or 4 steps. That's where I was, right there.
Yeah.
See, right there. And now I'm over here. So I made it, but I was just curious. Now I know how you feel, Morgan. Andrea, how long did it take you to get...
Lisa, do you do that? Do you do that for everything or just the podcast?
Good question. Well, no, I can't. I try. I do. You time everything out perfectly?
And yeah, or just wait till the last second and run.
I love that had never occurred to you that was what you were doing. Leave it to the last. You look so confused. Leave it to the last second. Oh, I thought you meant the sprinting part.
Well, I don't like to think of it that way, but I guess
so. Like what you just described was leaving it to the very last minute. I think literally
it's become...
You timed it for us.
I have a particularly hard time with having to do routine. It drives me a little bit crazy. So I'm always trying to, like, fudge the routine just a little bit so it doesn't feel quite... But then I've noticed there are problems with this system, which is that buses 100% run on a system. Mm-hmm. And so even though I try to leave the house just a little bit later all the time, just pushing it, I realize that if I do, I will miss my bus. And so, but yeah, the whole time and how quickly I can do something, it really preoccupies me. Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's an insight into your psyche that I've never heard you talk about before.
About my relationship to time?
Yeah.
Okay. We could talk about this for the entire hour, but we won't. But what I will say is I just was telling somebody today that my friend Katie pointed out. So one time they were like, we're going to this thing at this place. How long do you think it'll take us to get there? And I was like, 15 minutes. And she said, you think it takes 15 minutes to get anywhere? Right? Like across the street, about 15 minutes. Victoria to Port Alberni, give or take 15 minutes. Like everything. I was like, oh my God, you're right. I do think that. So the moral of the story is Lisa and I both need ADHD diagnoses, but we'll talk about that another
Yes, we can. Yes, definitely. I think I'm in the sort of that ballpark too.
Yeah.
There's some, and then just to further add to this, what really frustrates me is getting someplace really early. I'm just like, why did I look? What? Yes.
I don't like that either. I don't like that either.
And people who show up early when you invite them somewhere, I'm like, if I invite you for 7, I am ready at 7. If you show up at 3 minutes to 7, I'm getting out of the shower. So
Yeah. No, exactly. But yeah, getting there somewhere early where you could have had a few extra minutes laying on your couch.
But you must have friends that like getting places early. And it's for me, it's always a struggle because I like getting places exactly on time. And when you're going with someone who likes to be early for stuff, it's a struggle because they're always feeling like you're late and causing them to be late. And really, it's just, you're just incompatible time-wise.
yeah, try marrying one of those people.
Oh, yes. There you go.
God. We're like driving somewhere and she's like, we're not going to make it, are we? We have 15 minutes. We're fine.
15 minutes. We're fine.
No, she would be like 20 minutes early for everything. And I'm, 20 to 40 minutes late for everything.
Because like my sister likes being early for things. And it's just like, I'll tell her to come over at a time. And like, I know now that she'll come half an hour early prior to that time, and I should be ready half an hour earlier. But yeah, it's that kind of thing.
That's the same as my sister. Maybe it's a sibling thing. I wonder if there's are there entire families of early people, or does the universe balance itself out? Deep thoughts. Sorry.
I like giving myself time. I don't rush things. I hate being rushed. And so, I'll give myself at least 15 or 20 minutes to get ready for the podcast. Because I I like to just arrange things. I have my tea ready. I have read over our notes a little bit. I like having a routine and just being ready for when we log on. But I don't like being early.
Okay, so I see what you're saying. So you're getting ready, but you do log on right exactly at 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm not late. I mean, I think I make it.
I just don't imagine when you log on, just a minute prior to logging on, that you've flown across the room off your sofa.
Well, that's the new image you're going to have of me because it's true. But see, here's what it is. I think that my sense of time also has been very affected by my job because working on radio, you have such a different sense of time. And if someone says it's only a minute, can you imagine a minute of silence on the radio? It's 5 hours, right? It's unbelievable. So I've known from working that I can run from a studio into a bathroom and I can pee in a minute and a half and make it back.
Wow.
And I always wondered how long it took to pee. Right? But it's so short. It actually, you're barely in there.
And the science just was not there before your experiments.
Yeah, you should record that somewhere and post it on the internet.
Record herself peeing? That's weird.
Record the historical record of it and post it somewhere for future generations to read.
I'm just saying, if you say to somebody, I just need to take a quick pee, it's fair because it takes a minute and a half. It's been, I've timed it because I know exactly how long I have to get back in the studio and I can do it in a minute and a half. So anyway, just a little bit of information there for you about time.
Which is why people listen to this podcast.
A natural. It was just right there. Thank you for grabbing it.
So, how long did it take you to get transported back to 1984 when you pressed play on Purple Rain?
Oof. I've grown. That's all I can say. I've changed a lot since this movie. Boy, have I changed. Ooh. This happens to me all the time. I will be watching something and go, oh my God, did I laugh at this? Was this something I thought was funny?
Yes, all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And as many years as I've thought about this movie, I did not remember that they threw a woman in a garbage can. That's all you think that would stick with me, wouldn't you? But it didn't.
Nope.
I have seen this movie more times than I care to admit. And until the last time I watched it was 2016. And I the same. This time I was mortified in a way that I hadn't previously been.
Yeah.
And this was the first time I've ever seen this movie.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Wow.
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 Oh, I'm
Yeah.
dying to know your thoughts on it then. Let's do this.
Yeah. All right. Let's get in.
You're listening to Pop This. I'm Andrea Gin.
I'm Lisa Christiansen.
And I'm Morgan Brayton.
Welcome, Morgan.
Thank you for being here. Or should I
Thank
go?
you for having me.
Ow!
Yeah,
That'll make more sense.
Dearly
in a minute.
beloved,
Yes.
we are gathered here.
to get to
Make
this
this
thing called Pop
podcast.
This.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That should be
I'm
a
so
better hint.
excited. I'm
Yeah.
so excited to talk about this one for sure.
So the reason it came up on our radar in the first place was that it's the 40th anniversary of Purple Rain. And then we realized that Morgan Brayton, like Prince, was a hugely influential figure in your during your teenage years. And you had watched this movie a few times.
A few times, yeah.
And so here we are. I guess let's introduce Morgan to
Yes.
start off with before we dive into the movie.
Okay.
I'll read your bio, your freshly written bio.
That's right.
A standout of Canadian entertainment for more than 35 years, Morgan Brayton has appeared in TV and film, including Hardcore Logo and The L Word, and has worked behind the scenes in various roles, including screenwriter, associate producer, and story editor for both scripted and unscripted series, hosted her own talk show, Morgan Brayton and Other People, on Out TV, and is an award-winning sketch comedian with multiple successful solo shows to her credit. In addition to managing her multi-hyphenate career, these days Morgan can often be found enjoying the sunshine on the deck of the Chemainus home she shares with her wife and what some have called too many cats.
How many is too many?
When we had 4 and we were going to have 5, we were like, that's ridiculous. You can't have 5 cats. And now we have 7.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Are they indoor-outdoor cats?
Nope, they're all
Are
indoor
they-
cats.
They're all indoor cats.
Here on the island in our fenced-in outdoor space, they get to go out into the yard supervised, but they don't just wander around the neighborhood or anything like that. And they have like a catio that we built on the side and stuff. So they're living pretty large, these cats.
But so how did you come to have
Yeah.
like, do you just keep adopting, going down to the SPCA and adopting more and more
They
cats?
just keep
or-
showing up. Actually, that literally did happen once. So we volunteered for a long time with VOCRA, Vancouver Orphan Kitten Rescue Association, and we fostered. So, I think, 6, because our first one was the first one we adopted was Billy, and then all the others after that were fosters that didn't leave. So we have fostered, the last count, I believe, was like 135 cats and kittens that have gone through our house. So
My
I feel like
gosh.
7 out of 135, I'm not great at math, but I feel like those are pretty good numbers. I don't feel too bad about our number of cats, right?
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And
A lot of cats, people.
what's it like living in Chemainus?
It is, like, I keep calling it my island paradise because it really is. I mean, I have no work. I have no prospects, but I don't care. It's so beautiful. It's so quiet. It's so relaxing. I sit on my deck, the aforementioned deck, and listen to the frogs at night. I'm like 2 blocks. I'm in a seaside town. I live 2 blocks from the water. Me and my old dog, because we also have a dog, walk to the water every day or through the woods or the hermit trail. And it is just like my cortisol level has just gone way down. I'm a different person. It's real calm.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's a very small town. It's like 4,000 people here. We have no street lights. If you want food after 8:00, you got to go to another town. So it's real quiet.
So you're fully an islander.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in Victoria and escaped as early as I could, or as and I moved to Vancouver when I was 18 to be a film and television actor. And never in a million years, back when I was repeatedly watching Purple Rain on a VHS, did I ever imagine that I would live back on the island. But here I am, and I couldn't be happier.
Well, that is an amazing story.
It sounds idyllic.
It really is. It's like a little Hallmark town. Like, it's so cute. There's like a house with all these topiary like creatures in the front yard. Like, it's just magical. Yeah. And my dad lives like 2 minutes away.
Oh,
and he does a lot of work around
nice.
our house. So that's great.
You're living the life.
Yeah. Me and my cats living large.
La vida loca and everything.
Yes.
Well, before we get into talking about how you're obsessed with Prince as a teen, let's read the background of this movie. Morgan, do you want to?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Take it.
Purple Rain is a 1984 American rock musical drama film scored by and starring Prince in his acting debut. Developed to showcase his talents, it contains several concert sequences featuring Prince and his band, The Revolution. The film is directed by Albert Magnoli, who later became Prince's manager, from a screenplay by Magnoli and William Blinn. Principal photography took place almost entirely in Minneapolis. The film features many local landmarks, including the Crystal Court of the IDS Center and the First Avenue nightclub. Purple Rain grossed $70.3 million worldwide, against the $7.2 million budget. The film won an Academy Award for Best Original Song Score. Purple Rain was supported with its soundtrack album of the same name, which featured 2 U.S. chart-topping singles, When Doves Cry and Let's Go Crazy, as well as the number 2 hit, Purple Rain. The soundtrack is certified 13 times platinum and has sold over 25 million copies worldwide.
That is incredible. Those numbers are incredible.
Absolutely. You want to know another little interesting tidbit about the album that was not in our background?
Yeah.
Released on my birthday, 1984.
It was
Like
destiny.
a gift just for you.
Right?
Yeah. Wow.
Lisa, do you want to read the synopsis?
Sure. A victim of his own anger, the Kid, played by Prince, is a Minneapolis musician on the rise with his band, The Revolution, escaping a tumultuous home life through music. While trying to avoid making the same mistakes as his truculent father, played by Clarence Williams III, the Kid navigates the club scene in a rocky relationship with a captivating singer named Apollonia, the real Apollonia, played by, but another musician, Morris Day, looks to steal the Kid's spotlight and his girl. And that's from Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah. So this was a lot more intense a movie than I thought it was. I had never seen it before, and I kind of thought it was just like a showcase for all of these hit songs, and I didn't really kind of realize, like, there are, for anyone who hasn't seen it, should be aware that there are, like, scenes of abuse in the movie, and it's quite intense, and it's like semi-autobiographical. It's always been sort of unclear exactly how close it was to being about Prince's life, but people mostly call it semi-autobiographical. But yeah, I was a little taken aback about like how intense the narrative part of this movie was.
I can't imagine watching it for the first time in 2024. Like, it is not a 2024 movie.
No.
It is not. You really got to put your 84
Yeah.
goggles
Yeah.
on. Yeah.
Yeah.
But even then, it's, like I said, mortifying, some of it. Absolutely mortifying. And the thing about, like, the misogyny of it, and that's just flat out what it is. The women characters do not have characters. they're all just-
Underdeveloped is a compliment, I think.
Underdeveloped is absolutely a compliment. Yeah. It's, there's so much problematic stuff. It just makes you feel gross. And but the most alarming part for me is that it never seemed alarming before, right?
Exactly.
Like,
Yes.
the last time I watched this was 2016, and when Prince died, and I remember being like, whew, okay, don't quite remember. Yeah, all right. But not like, dear God, like I felt like this time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Lisa, you've long been a Prince fan. Do you want to talk about your history with Prince in this film?
Well, I mean, I think, okay. I think I came to Prince at the right way, the right time, and I remember going to see Purple Rain, and I
You saw it in the
knew-
theater?
Yeah, saw it in the theater. And also, that soundtrack, which I'll boldly say I had on cassette, was very popular. I was not shocked, but it did surprise me how much of the songs, even those smaller songs that I remembered, like I knew all the lyrics. Like it was quite something. Not just the When Doves Cry, like with the Take Me With You is one of my favorite songs still. The Beautiful Ones, I mean, come on.
That song is so good. Like hearing it again and watching the performance of him emoting. It every 14-year-old hormone long buried inside my body was like, we're still here.
Yeah, I mean, and I think, I guess what's really interesting too about watching or thinking about Prince's career is that like we had to all suffer through that recent development of Harry Styles, and he's being androgynous. Have you ever seen this before? Are you kidding me? Are you really saying this out loud to people who watch David Bowie and Prince? And I mean, I know I'm missing a whole bunch of other people. But yeah, watching him in full action, I mean, that
Yeah, I mean, he was doing those moves on stage wearing like boots with heels. I was like, how on earth is he spinning like that? Like, like it's incredible.
But I guess I never like Morgan was saying, why was I not like super offended by a woman getting thrown into a garbage can?
Because it was 1984. That was comedy.
I get, I mean, she was bugged. She was mad. He didn't call her. I mean.
Yeah. I mean, it's also, we should say that scene in particular it's very cartoonish, right? It's very, like, it's almost not real.
Well, yeah. Okay.
I'm not saying that then you're not like, oh, it's fine that he threw a woman in a dumpster. It is not fine. Do not make no mistake. But it was clearly being played for the comedy in a very sort of clownish, cartoonish kind of way. There's a lot of stuff in the film that is not wrapped in comedy or, silliness, that is like, the Apollonia showing up to the show with that slave collar around her neck, and just everything about the women in the film. There is very little to recommend this if you're a woman or don't love watching women be demeaned on screen.
Yeah, and I guess one of the things too that I didn't really think about with the first time I saw it was Apollonia has no character. I mean, she shows up in a cab. For some reason, she has money and she's running out on the bill. She books herself in some horrible hotel across the street from this club. Where did she come from? Who is she? What, what is going on? We never find out anything about her at all, except for the fact, which is horrific again to think about, is that, she goes back into a relationship with a man that hits her.
Yeah. But we don't need to know anything about her because it's all Prince, or the kid, right?
Yeah.
This is the kid story. This is a Prince vehicle. This is a film that is meant to showcase, and he knew what he was doing, sure, later years, not so much, but marketing wise and in terms of, what we would now call branding, genius, absolutely knew what he was doing.
Well, the story behind the movie is that, he had some success prior to this. Like, he'd had a few hit songs and stuff like that. And his manager thought that they were doing a great job and went to try and re-sign him to a new 5-year contract. And he said, I'm not signing with you unless you get me a movie role and to star in it. And I think the exact thing he said is that it has to be not from a jeweler or a drug dealer, but it has to be from a major studio. And he wants his name above the title. And that was his condition of re-signing with his manager.
Which is genius, right?
Well,
because
gosh, yeah.
Yeah. Other people didn't, I've watched interviews with the cast and the bands and stuff, and they're like, yeah, Prince kept saying we're making history and, sent us to dance and acting lessons and all this kind of stuff. And we were all just kind of screwing around, right? We didn't really get how important it was until he was like, we're making history. But he knew, right? He was like, I'm going to make a movie that is a showcase for myself. It's going to be huge. So gotta give the little peanut credit.
Yeah, well, I mean, pop stars are still doing that today, making the album video, like Jennifer Lopez, her latest thing on
There's
Netflix
no excuse for how awful that one is.
A 10th generation grown out of, Purple Rain.
Very much so. I will say, though, in J-Lo's defense, I couldn't get through it. I started to watch it because I love dancing, and I love a movie and it's just like ridiculous and people start dancing for no reason. It's like, sign me up. However, but I will say, Katie Ellen Humphries had a great point. She was like, I wish more millionaires would just make harmless, ridiculous vanity projects. Like, that is a good thing to do with your money if you got a bunch of money, rather than Elon Musk buying Twitter and, whatnot, right? Like, yeah, make a stupid video where you get to dance around and make the world watch it. That's money well spent. I'm down with that. So I can't fault her for that. There are worse things she could have done. I mean, not much worse, let's be honest, but.
Yeah, I mean, it does make you, when I think about this story, I know it's semi-autobiographical, but it was also very confusing. Why is he living in this dreary basement? He certainly has enough money for a very big motorcycle and a lot of interesting clothes. How is it?
Always thought that. I'm like, his wardrobe alone.
Is that why he has to live in his parents' basement?
Yeah, he has no money left.
How old do you think he is in the movie?
Right?
How old is he supposed to be, or how old is he?
How old is he supposed to be? Because Prince is ageless. He could be.
Yeah.
Is he a teenager, or is he 40? I don't know.
Well, Apollonia is supposed to be 19.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which she was not. But yeah, she's supposed to be 19. He's actually 24 when they made this. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because his first album, he was 18.
Right. And he had, this was,
he was in Wonder
Purple
King.
Rain was his 6th album, I think I read too, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was 24 when he made this.
Yeah.
Oh,
imagine having that presence of mind and foresight and genius at 24. I was doing some stupid stuff at 24.
Yeah,
it's not you know what, Warner Brothers, we're going to make a movie about me. Yeah, no, I wasn't.
And what I thought was some of the stuff that made me laugh so hard, it was when he did his little, destruction scene when he was really upset. So he was smashing things. There was canning down there too.
Yeah, I know.
He was smashing in the preserves.
Wait, you're just. I'm sorry. You guys just don't look like the family that does, home preserves and
same
puts them
thing
in the
this time.
basement. Yeah.
I was like, who put these preserves in these jars? His mom? No.
Yeah,
His
I
dad?
know.
No. It must have been Prince. He can do everything. He plays all the instruments.
Well, there we go.
And he can preserve your fruits for the winter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, one of the things I was reading is like someone pointed out that like with all the misogyny in this movie, like the vast majority of the audience was young women that loved this movie and loved Prince. So, I mean, that's an interesting point. But Morgan, do you want to talk about like when did you first see this movie? Let's talk about your teenage obsession with Prince.
Let's. Okay, I actually don't remember. So me and my two best friends in junior high school were obsessed with Prince, like obsessed. We, wore the VHS out. I don't remember seeing it in the theater. And I even messaged my two best friends from school and was like, do you remember, did we see it in the theater? And none of us could remember. My memories of watching it are at home on VHS. It's like a very intimate, personal kind of a feeling I get when I think about watching it. So I don't know that I saw it in the theater. My one friend said we 100% saw it in the theater. We would have, but we just don't remember. So, yeah, like I said, came out on my birthday, 1984, when I was 14 years old.
Were you already a Prince fan at that point?
No, I was not. I became retroactively a fan of his earlier stuff after, and that was the thing, right? We had to buy every album. And also remember, this is before the internet, right? So we couldn't like go online and watch videos of him or learn stuff about him. I know more about this movie and about Prince in 2024 than I ever did in the 80s, even though I spent pretty much every waking moment thinking and talking about Prince. We went as the Revolution for the 1985 high school dance.
Nice.
None of us were Prince. Nobody could be. We bought all the magazines, right? Because that's what you had to. That's how you got your information, kids, before the internet. You had to go and buy like rock magazines, and plus he was on every magazine, right? He was everywhere. Also, keep in mind that Much Music started in 1984, and just before that, MTV. So it was also the video era. So the music videos were, just on repeat at all times because we would tape them on our VHS off the TV and replay them. And we would take pictures of him on the screen because there wasn't like, that was the early screen caps. So yeah, we dressed the part, and I have our school photos one year. Me and my two best friends have the same outfit on. We have like a little lace pink little thing with like a white cardigan with one big hoop earring a la Apollonia in Purple Rain, and our big 80s teased hair. I will put photos that I'm about to speak about on my social media on Instagram so people can see them because you won't believe. Anyhow, so yeah, we lived and breathed Prince, including we celebrated Prince's birthday every year. And I just found my diary entries. So here's my...
How did you celebrate?
We, as 14, 15-year-old olds in Victoria in the 80s do, we got very drunk. So yeah, this is my Friday, June 7th, 1985 diary entry. I'm not going to go to, like number 2, because I wrote like Prince. I'm not going to go to school tomorrow. It's Prince's birthday. 20 exclamation points. I'm going to go to Deb's in the morning and go to sleep, then come home and clean up my room. That did not happen. I guarantee it. And then go back to Deb's and get totally, I don't know if I can say, but drunk was what I
Face.
was saying,
Yeah.
and crash there for the night. I'm going to have so much fun. I skipped out this afternoon too. I hope I don't get caught. I would be in so much beep. Oh, well. I don't know if I'll be able to write you, letter U, tomorrow, because I won't have time. Well, see you. Love, Morgan. And then the next day is Saturday, June 8th, 1985. What?
Are you writing to your diary?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Dear diary.
It's your friend. Dear diary,
Yeah.
like your friend. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
Dear diary. Well, it's 5:35 p.m. and I still have a hangover from last night. Like, what a nerd I was. What a nerd. This part I love, though. My mom knows. I could have hidden it from her, but hey, what's the point, right? So, what a badass. I sincerely hope I don't get bagged for skipping out. I'd be in major trouble. Love, Morgan. Like, we went to my friend's house and drank a lot and watched Purple Rain and listened to Prince songs and talked about our plans when we graduated, that me and my friends were going to get in a car and drive to Minneapolis to meet Prince. This was our post. I didn't plan to go to university. I just planned to get in a car with my two best friends and go to Minneapolis and meet Prince. Our high school yearbooks, with our big earring, have like all Prince quotes, and mine says that I enjoy eating mashed yeast and bubble yum because that was what Prince wrote somewhere. And so I said that, and just like forever, people were like, "What's wrong with you? What do you mean you eat mashed yeast and bubble yum?"
Yeast?
Okay, but here's the most important thing that we did around Prince. So 80s was also the era of the air band. And air bands were like a huge big deal at my school. 1 year.
Wait, can you just say what an air band is for anyone who doesn't know?
For the youngsters that don't know what an air band is.
Let's describe it.
I mean, okay. RuPaul's Drag Race. It's like that, only high school. So yeah, it's lip syncing to a song and making like you're the band, right? And usually it was a competition, and there would be a winner. So at our school, 1 year we did Sheila E. and her band, and I played Sheila E. And I will ask you to turn to the email I sent you with the photos.
Which we will post on our podcast.
Oh, okay.
page.
And please skip to the second to last photo. That's me in the lacy tights there, with the drumstick in my hand. Oh yeah, the picture below that, I had the painting of the eyes that is in Prince's bedroom in Purple Rain. I painted that on my wall. My parents let me do that. Anyways, so yeah, air bands were a huge thing. And so in 1985, me and my two friends, do you see where this is going? With me and my two friends, did an air band. We couldn't be Prince and the Revolution. Not enough people. Couldn't be the time. Screw that guy.
You were Apollonia's band.
We were Apollonia 6.
The Apollonia 6, yeah.
Wow.
This is like, I'm not sure if it was grade 9 or grade 10, but
Oh my gosh, I can't believe.
Honestly,
Oh my
okay, I'll let you look at the photos and just
Oh.
take in a little bit of those top two photos there.
You
I
were
have covered
allowed
my
to wear
friends.
this in school?
Well, this is the thing. I'm like, where were our parents? Like, why did...
Yeah.
Now, my parents were very sort of open and like, oh, that's you being creative. Go for it. But one of my friends, her family knew nothing about this and would have been in big trouble if she had known. But so we were Apollonia 6. And we made our costumes that are complete, like teddies, garters, fishnets. Go ahead, Andrea.
Oh, I was just going to say, can you describe your outfits for the listeners?
Yeah. So first of all, what you need to know is that we took this very seriously and we played the characters. So I was Apollonia, all in black with my little black teddy corset number, fishnets, garters, thigh-high fishnets, etc. My one friend was the Susan character, who's like the innocent little girl who was all in white with her little white lace gloves and her white fishnets, etc. And then my other friend was the Brenda character, who was like the tough, kind of sleazy one. My dad to this day calls her, I'm not going to use her real name, we'll call her Kathy. My dad still calls her Kathy the Slut. Because he was like, what? I said, oh, she's this one. She's the little girl. She's the nice one. And I'm the vixen one. And she's the slutty one. So my dad still calls her Kathy the Slut. So you notice we had these capes, right? So we made these capes. And we're backstage. One of the teachers told me afterwards that he was backstage and we had these capes on, and he looked over and I was like adjusting a garter, and he turned his head away because he thought, oh my God, I've seen something that I shouldn't at a high school airband competition. And then the next thing he knows, we're on stage in these capes. I got a shape like a bottle of Coca-Cola, and we flip open our capes into just our full-on lingerie. Like, this is grade 9.
Yeah,
right?
no.
Oh my God.
Choreography to beat the band. Anyways, we won. And so that took us to the citywide championship.
What?
Yes, which we
What?
won.
There was citywide?
Yeah.
And they let you wear that same outfit?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And we did, we had a
okay.
real repertoire. We did both Apollonia 6 and Vanity 6 songs. Very versatile. And oh my God. Yeah.
Wow.
So, and then.
So wait.
Okay.
Like, none of the teachers in your school,
No.
stopped you or talked to your parents
No.
or anything?
No. I think it just was a different time where, sure, that was scandalous, but it was also like, what are you going to do? That's what girls do. You know what I mean? Like, nobody batted an eye yet. So then we were invited. So the regional competition or whatever it was, the citywide one, the top
I feel like I'm watching Glee now.
I know. With less clothes.
The regionals.
Yeah. So the top 3 got to be on a televised competition on Czech TV or Shaw TV or whatever it was at the time. So my one friend, whose dad didn't know, was not allowed to be in it. We had to get a replacement and teach her the choreography real quick. Because that's the thing. I was a dancer growing up. So it was full on choreography, full on sleazy moves, and, perfect lip syncing, etc. So we got to be on this televised show of the top 3, and we won that. We were unstoppable. It's a wonder I didn't pursue airbanding as a career.
Yeah, no
Really
kidding.
good at it, apparently. And so then in 11th grade, when we were at senior high, and our Prince days were a little bit behind us by this time, and I was getting into punk and stuff like that, right? So, and somebody came up to me and said, oh, I just watched a movie with you in one of my classes. And I'm like, what do you mean you watched a movie? I am going to be a star of stage and screen, but I have not been in a movie yet. What do you speak of? And he said, yeah, this movie in my, social whatever class. Turns out there was a documentary film put out by I don't know if it was Canadian or Victoria or Vancouver. I don't know what the regionality of it was, but Women Against Pornography, who used this clip of us to demonstrate the ills of the music industry and how impressionable young girls were taught to objectify themselves and et cetera, et cetera. So there's my peers in 11th grade in school sitting here watching this video talking about what a dum-dum me and my friends are dancing around in our underpants, right? And even at the time, even at the time, as mortified as we were by this happening, something in me was that doesn't seem very feminist. Using video of girls in their lingerie without consulting with them or giving them their consent at all. And I was super riled up and wanted to write them a letter and stuff. And my friends were like, simmer down. Let's not push this any farther than we need to. Yeah. So yeah, we went from like the coolest winners to examples of the evils of pornography, which the music industry was leading us into. Ironically, years later, when
Darling
I hosted
Nikki. I thought that's where you're going to go with the ironically.
No.
That's the song that tipped off Tipper Gore.
Exactly. That added the warnings, the warning labels that got added.
The warning labels, Parents
that
advisory.
just made us all buy the albums, right? We just all were like, oh, it's got a parental advisory on it.
Yeah.
Here's my money. Yeah. But when I hosted the Feminist Porn Awards many, many years later, it felt like a real full circle moment, you know? So yeah, I don't know. I have complicated feelings about it all now as an adult. As a parent, I just am like, oh my God. Yeah, where were our parents? Why was that allowed? But also like, I kind of love that they knew that we were exploring, I guess, like, experimenting, figuring it out. But to us at the time, being one of Prince's proteges, like Apollonia and Vanity and Jill and whatnot in the movie would have been, that would have been everything to us. That was like, so we felt like it was like this love letter to be embodying the spirit of Prince. And we felt empowered. We were sexy, we were strong, we were in charge. And so, I have some complex feelings about feminism and porn and, empowerment through things that other people might not think of as very empowering, or that feminists in the 80s didn't think of as very empowering. But yeah, rewatching this at the age of 53 and remembering dancing on that stage in my lingerie, it's a mind trip.
Yes, I can only imagine.
What were you feeling? Like, what do you think when you think about that version of yourself?
Like I say, sure, from my lens today, I'm mortified. But I'm also not, because I know how I felt, right? I know that Prince was that, I was 14, 15. Like, that was my sexual awakening, right? And when I say rewatching this time that every 14-year-old hormone in my body was like, we're still here, I mean it, because that was the time when all of that was awakening for us, right? And Prince was not like the metal dudes, not, that, because I went to like Headbanger High. Colquitt Junior High School in the 80s was like all Metallica and Helix shirts, and we were like completely not outcast, because it was very popular at the time, but we were not in the norm at our school. It was very much a headbanger school. And so, yeah, we would be like, why you like that gay Prince? And, made fun of like that and stuff. And Prince was like, he was so handsome. He was impish. He was sexy. He was, our height, so not very threatening. He was like gender bending in this way that was really exciting and felt right to us, like it didn't, the rest of the stuff going on around us pop culture wise we didn't click with it in the same way. But, he had like makeup and the clothes and those boots and his little sassy tush and those little pants and stuff. And, he really played with all that. It's ironic because it's so misogynist. There's even a line in the film that Morris Day calls him a gay slur, which is, I find so weird, because it was just so gender bending and really like his room, that basement that you talk about, it's like, that looks like a teenage girl's bedroom.
It does, with all the masks and
all the masks and the eyes and the pretty 80s makeup eyes and stuff. Like, so he was really messing with gender. Being a white girl from Victoria in the 80s, this wasn't my reality, but, he was also really stepping out of how we saw Black men in pop culture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Talking about, with his dad, the relationship with his dad, and that all the complexities around passing on that violence and stuff like that. Like, you know, it was pretty groundbreaking, aside from the fact that the music was just unbelievable. Like, it's just such, you know, you listen to it now and you're like, damn, he was a genius.
Yeah.
It's absolutely timeless music to me.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
there's no,
it
you can
still
put that
holds
out
up.
now. And yeah, everything you're saying, I'm hearing, but I'm just like, I never really noticed how much of a jerk he was. I would use a really stronger word if this was a swearing podcast.
You mean
but,
the character of the kid?
Yeah, the character
Yeah.
of the kid. Just condescending, rude,
Yeah.
cruel.
Well, that's what I was going to say now.
Just so,
Yeah.
like, again, is it, I don't want to jump ahead to my, I will. I'm going to jump ahead to my recommendation because it ties in. Okay, so my recommendation was just very lucky. I came across the Hannah Gadsby memoir called Nanette. Just came out a couple of years ago, but I was very lucky. It was in one of my, my boxes. I always love to look for books. I never know what I'm going to find. And, it's been a while since I've seen the this stand-up special because it came out in 2017. But I really, really remember her driving home that point about how much slack we give men for being geniuses. And that was so big, the big takeaway from that comedy special. And here I am doing it again, watching this Prince movie that, well, I can excuse him of his treatment. I mean, why shouldn't he be upset with Wendy and Lisa for writing their own music? I mean, why should he be treating them properly? He's a genius.
Yeah.
He gets to get a woman to take her clothes off and jump in a lake because it's funny. And now, I'm just in that space right now because I've been reading the book again and just thinking, oh, I hope I can really stop myself from doing this.
Yeah. Well, and that is the difference of 2024 and 1984, right?
Yeah.
Sarah Polley talks about that a lot in her book, and she wrote a piece for The Guardian about when she was a child actor working with Terry Gilliam and this idea of the mad genius, right? I would take it even further, though, and say, I don't think the character of the kid was an anomaly in pop culture at that time, because I feel like as a girl at that time, we were taught that boys were temperamental, that they were, God, if you could get a creative one, hold on to him, because, if he was in touch with any of his feminine side, oh my God. And you had to excuse anything else that they did. So it's partly the mad genius thing, which I have so little patience for. And I don't work in the music industry, but in the film and television industry, I've seen a ton of bad behavior excused because they're the star and we got to keep the star happy.
Right. Yeah.
But I think it goes further than that. I think that was our idea of the perfect boyfriend at the time. He's troubled, so we could take care of him.
We can fix him. We can fix him.
There's a line somewhere, and I meant to find it and I forgot, but he says, like, I'm a baby and you have to take care of me. And it's like, you're a grown man, but that was like, I was taught as a girl that we take care of men. And if they're creative geniuses, then you forgive everything else.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing that I was saying before. Like, the audience for this movie was mostly young women, and it became like this generational touchstone, and along with the music. And so you have to, it just makes you think about like the culture at the time and like what had become like just embedded into like a generation of young women's like minds about like, musical genius and men and how they should be treated.
Yeah. Thank God
because,
for Lisa and Wendy, though. Thank God for Lisa and Wendy sticking it to him. God
true.
bless her. Wendy and Clarence Thomas III are the only two who can act in this entire movie.
Oof.
That, oof is right. I mean, I will give it to, they're horrible and awful and all other terrible words, but, Morris Day and Jerome Bennett, like they were funny, aside from throwing women into dumpsters, of course.
Yeah.
But they're that like little who's on first, what's the password scene. Like their timing is so great. Jerome's expressions are hilarious. Like they're the comic relief of it. And without that, this I think would have been an unbearable film just about this wanky musician. So I love their comedy that they bring to it. But Lisa and Wendy being the ones that stand up to him, and Wendy being the one that actually calls him on it. And I actually read somewhere that there were scenes, because they were a couple at the time, Lisa and Wendy, and that there were scenes with them kissing that ended up being cut. But I can't help but wonder how that would have influenced my young little queer heart if I had, because those two were like absolute goddesses to me, because they were the badasses who stood up to Prince, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I wonder what that would have been like to actually see them kiss on screen. And of course, they've gone on to be amazing musicians, and like they do music, lots of scores and stuff like that, and music for Nurse Jackie and everything. So I just think they're amazing, and love them just as much today, as even more probably than I did in the 80s. But yeah, I just think it's a complicated thing when we revisit stuff, because we do have to put those old-timey goggles on to watch it. Doesn't mean we excuse it. And I'm fascinated by you watching this for the first time as a grown woman, Andrea. Like, no, there's nothing to recommend it except the music.
I have this terrible feeling that you were going to come on with the two of us and just look at us and go, what were you thinking? And having no words.
Oh, no, far from it. I got all the words. Yeah. Morris saying, I have a brass waterbed. Like, that's some funny stuff. You got to give it to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. But watching it as an adult, like in 2024 for the first time, it's like I didn't feel any, like a lot of the stuff I was reading was like, even though he's a total jerk, you still are rooting for the kid. But like, I wasn't in this movie. I was just like, I was rooting for Apollonia to like take over his show and succeed as like the new star. And like it was a very strange experience. And I also don't like musicals. I really don't like watching musicals. However, in spite of this movie having, like such an intense storyline and a totally unsympathetic character to me, and so much music packed into it, I liked it because every 5 minutes there was an incredible song that came on, and it was just like a mind-blowing pop genius song comes on every few minutes. Yeah. And you never get tired of it. It's never too much music. And it kind of just makes it so that like the story can just recede into the background, because you're thinking like, this guy is inventing like his own style of music right now. Like, this is what we're watching. Like, he's creating something that's never been done before.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I think like that kind of makes you not like understand the value of this film for what it meant to pop culture. Even though,
isn't it in the Smithsonian? I was
the narrative of it is quite dated and quite the character of the kid to me is not a sympathetic character.
No, he's for
a hero of the story.
Yeah. There's a storyline there, but it's really just to link together the songs, the videos, and the performances, right? I mean, the performances themselves are amazing. That's, we saw him jumping around, leaping off of speakers and standing on top of the piano and playing with his feet and stuff like that. He brought together like James Brown, who we didn't know at that age, and all that kind of influence. And then what was to come, I hear and see so much of Prince's influence in all kinds of music. Your Bruno Mars, your Emily King. I heard the other day, I was like, oh, that's a very Prince influenced song, Lizzo,
Jeanette Monáe.
Of course. Yeah. Brittany Howard, like so many artists influenced by him. So I feel like, you can't divorce it from that, but we can still say it's a terrible movie. The acting is terrible. The writing is terrible. It's, but you can't, and I don't think I feel like rooting for a kid at the end, but it's almost like a manipulative, sappy movie where you're feeling something in spite of yourself. When Purple Rain in the movie, that footage when he goes over and gives Wendy that little kiss on the cheek, he's not going to change or get better, but it's a nice little moment. And that song is just so moving. And then he kicks into I Would Die For You, which is such a banger. Like I challenge you to not want to get up and dance or clap or cheer or whatever at that part in the movie. So it feels almost manipulative because of the music. Like it just takes us there. But yeah, I can't imagine watching it for the first time in 2024. I'd be like, what on earth was happening in the 80s?
It's so funny that you should say that they can't show Wendy and Lisa kissing, because you can show Apollonia in the many ways that we saw her. We can see her get hit. And then we can see him, Prince, playing guitar and Wendy simulating fellatio. And that's okay.
That bit actually about did me in this watch. Right? Like knowing, just so gross and so like just such a power move on the kid's part. It was like just gross. Just
like she's
gross,
in your band. She's a talented musician.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So what are we going to say about this movie? Does it still pop in 2024?
Well, as a concert movie, I have to say yes, of course. And, to see Prince at his peak, really, I mean, it's probably not. I like Sign of the Times better. But anyway, but it's just the story is, I don't know what to do about that.
Yeah. I mean, watch it with a lot of caveats. Asterisks, asterisks, asterisks.
Even if you have seen it before, watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Morgan, what do you say?
I mean, I feel like I almost have to say it pops, but it's more about the nostalgia and the connections and the people in my life that I love so much. When Prince died, I messaged my two best friends from my Apollonia Air Band, and we were just, commiserating, and we were like, let's get together and have a drink and celebrate him. So yeah, in May 2016, and again, I will turn your attention to the photographic evidence. There is a photo of the three of us, and we'll black out their faces and post it. But yeah, that's us in 2016 at my friend's house.
Wow.
We had a Prince weekend. We got together and watched Purple Rain, drank lots of wine, looked at our old yearbooks, looked through our Prince scrapbooks and all the pictures that we kept of him. And my friend's teen daughter learned to draw the Prince symbol and made us little coasters for our wine with the Prince symbol and stuff. So, to me, this is wrapped up in my feminism, my queerness, my, understanding of gender, my love of the music of that era, the wardrobe and the makeup and the hair, the giant hair we had. It's all wrapped up into that. I can't really separate it. And there's lots of stuff that I can separate that I'm like, oh yeah, I used to love that. And now I see that is a pile of misogynist garbage and I will never look at it again or speak of it. Purple Rain holds a special place in my heart. For such a terrible, terrible movie, I'm still going to say it pops. Like,
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I have to go with you on that too. Yep.
Okay, well, we like to leave our podcast on things we recommend. Lisa, you've already gone. So, Morgan, why don't you talk about your recommendation?
I'm going to go with this week with Loot, the Maya Rudolph led series, which you can stream on Apple TV. The second season just came out, and I really liked the first season. I love Maya Rudolph. I love so many of the performers in it. MJ Rodriguez, Joel Kim Booster. It's just got like a stellar comedy lineup in it. But I feel like season 2, like I just got a little pitter patter in my heart when I thought about it. Like I feel like season 2, they are having so much fun, you know? I mean, what a dream to get to do a second season of a show with all these brilliant, hilarious people that's like, you know, quite diverse and queer and funny and led by this amazing woman. And, you know, it's just all the things. And I feel like their joy is palpable in it, and it just brings me joy to watch it. It's so funny. Definitely check it out.
Also, let's not forget Maya Rudolph being one of the biggest Prince fans. She
Of course. Oh, I didn't even think of that
Right?
tie-in. Yes.
Yeah, she had that big. She has a band that does Prince covers, and
I totally forgot
Yeah.
about all that. Yes. Oh my God. Look at my subconscious brain working overtime.
It all ties in.
yeah, exactly.
I'm going to recommend some music because I thought it would be apropos for this episode. There's an artist called Shay Leah, and she released an album called Facets. She's from Montreal. She's an R&B, sort of like Afrobeats, disco, like house music kind of artist. And it's just, even though it was released last October, like I know that is going to be the album that I listen to all summer because it's just got that like fun, like dance vibe to it that you play at a party when you like just want to have a fun atmosphere. And so I highly recommend everybody listen to it who just like wants a fun time.
Oh wow!
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to listen to it right
Amazing.
now. That sounds fun.
Well, thanks everybody for listening. Thank you, Morgan, for joining us.
Thank
and
you,
sharing
Morgan.
This incredible treasure trove.
Thank
of
you for
Holy cow.
having me.
history with us.
I hope it was cathartic in some way to go
I
through.
feel like
Yeah.
it was. I feel like I really let go of some stuff. I feel like I
Excellent.
really, paid homage, honored Prince in the way that he deserves to be. Rest in peace, Vanity. I feel good about this, folks. I feel real good.
I loved hearing your diary entries. I loved all these.
They were
photos.
spectacular, really.
Yeah.
I should
And,
find some other non-Prince related ones and email them to you guys because they're ridiculous.
That's the best kind.
Yeah, I'd love to see them.
Yeah.
And for people listening, if you want to get in touch, you can email us at popthiscollective@gmail.com or reach us on any of the social medias.
Yeah, we're on Instagram.
Yeah, sometimes.
We are sometimes.
You can find me on Instagram, just Morgan Brayton. That's about the only place right now.
Oh, I don't think we follow each other, do we?
I think I follow you, and I think I've been waiting and trying not to bring it up that you don't follow me back, but that's
wow.
fine.
No, really?
No, I don't know.
Don't paint me like that. Oh my gosh. Andrea Gin is our co-host and producer, which is amazing because she's going to have some editing work this week.
I'm not taking out anything.
No,
I'm keeping
really?
it all. Yeah.
Okay.
If you ever have me back, I promise not to talk for 2 hours every time. I do not promise that one bit. Thank you so much for having me. I would die
lovely.
for you.
Aw.
Darling, if you
Perfect.
want me to.
There you
Baby,
go.
you're a star. Might not know it now. But baby, yes, you are. I'm a star. Whoa.
Okay,
I'm
so
not
our
gonna
Prince
stop
cover band,
till I reach the
Lisa.
top.
Well, I feel like Lisa could go on for a long time at this point.
Maybe a bit. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll do like
thanks, everybody.
how Prince would do like the album's over, but then like 10 minutes later, if you let it keep playing, there was like something played backwards. We'll just play Lisa singing backwards, but you gotta
Okay.
like don't turn off the podcast because in about 10 minutes you're gonna be so surprised.
It's a woman crying. Just to make that film resonate even stronger.
Oh, way to bring it back around. All right,
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
thank you.
Bye.
I'm a